I started going to clubs when I was about 13 or 14.
And were there a lot of youngsters with you at that
Yeah,
time?
loads.
And compared to now?
Yeah, a lot more, yeah. Standard was a lot better.
Yeah.
On the amateur side of
Yeah.
things, you know. Obviously the pro game's a lot higher now. The standard's a lot higher, but the amateur game was just unbelievable.
And do you think that's why we're not seeing the youngsters?
Well, the fact that all the snooker clubs in Britain are shutting down, virtually, like, I ain't been fun. There was so many leagues in Gloucester when I was a lad.
Yeah.
I mean, there was 10 100 breakers, capable 100 breakers in my club. Yeah. Now there's not 2 in the county. It's just a shame. It is the way it's gone. But you know, in China it's booming like it was with us in the late 80s, early 90s. That's what it's like in China now, and that's why you see a lot more Chinese players coming through.
So how can we reverse it? Well, not reverse it for China, but get...
I don't know. I don't know if you can.
What about players getting into schools or something, or giving free tickets to those?
Oh yeah, maybe. But do you know what? It's all right giving tickets to everyone if there's no snooker clubs to go in, right? And academies like here and nothing like what I grew up in the snooker club. The banter in the snooker club, and then you go to academy. It's all strictly snooker, whereas in snooker clubs it's all. You learn to grow up in life, not just play snooker. You learn to grow up. So different atmosphere. I love the snooker club atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's several of us went to the club. I had to stand on a box. Right. I actually used box. I had to stand on a box every shot, and I just fell in love with it straight away.
And were there lots of youngsters?
Yeah. The Saturday comp at my club was. It's probably like 20 or 30 lads going in every Saturday. Everyone was like 16 or under, 18 or under. So, the club's not even there now. So, but there are clubs around the country that are doing really well. I've seen a few. So there's, it's, I don't know. It's a tough time, I guess, but I think we'll come through it, and the sport will continue to grow, and I hope it does anyway.
Yeah, I mean there was a much bigger junior, arguably, it's bigger in China now. I mean we used to go to the Pontins festivals, the Hemsby, the Star of the Future and Prestatyn. So there was an Essex hotbed of snooker, there was plenty, there was Essex and Hertfordshire events, lots of junior events, the Essex under 16s and under 19s, which I was fortunate enough to win. And it just did seem like, there was no doubt that there was more of an amateur grassroots game then. It seems to be all about, a money-making thing now for the powers that be.
So is that where you think the problems?
Well, yeah, that's why we're not seeing any juniors, English juniors, coming through. There is no under 16 tournaments anymore. I think Stan Moody's probably the only one, but arguably for me, I certainly wasn't ready at 16 years old to play on the main tour. We'll see. I hope he proves everyone wrong, but it's going to be tough for him if he draws the top players every round. It's arguably is that good for your career? I don't know.
So how can we change it?
Oh, don't ask me. It's not my job to tell you. I'm a snooker player and a pilot, and that's what I tend to know about. I fell on snooker by pure chance, really, by luck, because my dad bought a 6x3 table and put it in the front room, and I started potting balls, and he see that I had a little bit of talent for it, and then we progressed on from there. So, but snooker, you think how many people there are in the world playing sport, and how many people in the world play snooker. Now you've got to get in the top 32 in the world, right, to make a living. Yeah. That's 32 people. I don't know what the world's population is, but that's not very many people. So if you look at the odds of getting into the top 32, it's not very good, is it? No. So I'm probably going to discourage my son to try and play snooker because it's too difficult. And, it's a massive achievement to get on tour. These players are getting on tour and not making any money. Are you a professional snooker player just to call yourself a pro, or are you a pro because you want to try and make a living? And for me, the minute I don't make a living, you won't see me anymore.
You'll be up in the skies.
Definitely.
One thing that was popular that you did on social media recently was when you went to a school with, and you worked with some kids. Do you think that needs to be done more to get the next generation really? It's such a fascinating sport, but does it have to be repackaged a bit for kids? Like on that little table?
I don't so much think repackaged, but I definitely think things like that are things that we need to be doing more of, because how else are kids going to get interested in this day and age? there's a lot less clubs than there was 40 years ago, you know.
Yeah.
It's one of them sports that unless you see it and you go and play it in a club, you're not going to get hooked and interested in it really.
Yeah.
There's a lot of viewing figures, I get that. There's a lot of people watching the sport, but you need that physical interaction as well. And just doing more things like that would obviously help, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's just the way the world's changed a little bit in the last 30, 40 years. Like, kids were out and about more, I think. I used to go to, like, when I was in my club as a junior, there used to be coaching sessions every Saturday for the juniors, and there'd maybe be 30, 40 kids there, you know.
Yeah.
And most clubs now, it isn't like that. You might have a handful there, you know, and it's just getting them initiated into it. It's getting them interested in it, I think. And as I say, school visits and things like that are things that certainly help do that. There was certainly a few when I visited there a couple of weeks ago that were really keen, it seemed, and they might have went home then and said to their mums and dads, I want to go down to the snooker club and see what I can do, you know.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
I started playing snooker properly when I was 6 years old. So my boys are getting into it now. They're 5 and 8, and who knows, maybe you'll see them here one day as well.
Can they play on a full-size table yet?
Yeah, so my youngest Bailey, he carries around a little stool. So bless him, his bottom of his legs are all covered in bruises, like carrying around this crate. So they're both into it, they're both enjoying it, so who knows. Yeah, get them straight on it, you know. You might have to just carry around a stool with you, which, you know, I'm quite happy to do. That's how I learned. My dad did it with me at our local from a very young age. So listen, you know, I like to think I've had a really nice grounded life. I'd encourage kids to get into this game as soon as they can.
People say there's not enough kids. I know it's not that long ago because you're one of the younger players, but when you started in getting into clubs and local competition, were there more young players doing that with you than there are now?
I don't know. I think sort of my era getting onto the tour, I had a very strong group of amateurs around me, the likes of myself, Jack Lisowski, Anthony McGill, Michael White, Liam Highfield, to name a few, that have gone on to do well in the professional ranks. So we were sort of all spurring each other on. If I'm totally honest with you, I don't follow it enough to be able to say if that's coming through now. I know you've had the likes of Stan Moody, I think it is, that's come through, he's got on the tour. So, you know, it's great to have someone like that. But like I say, my two are getting into it. All their friends want to get into it because of that. So it's a bit of a chain reaction. So, you know, maybe a little bit more of that needs to go on. Yeah, exactly. It's given me a good life, so I'd encourage everyone to give it a go.
Looking back, I remember sort of the Essex League I was in, I think there was like 3 or 4 100-break juniors. Now, obviously, you don't see that. You don't see, like, obviously, Stan Moody's a stand-up name, but past him, I couldn't tell you another English junior. Obviously, some of the Welsh lads have a couple of good juniors there, but like I say, don't see that many. They're all coming from sort of Europe or China or Thailand, so it don't seem good for grassroots snooker.
So you went to a youth snooker club in Derby recently?
That's right, yeah.
And so did that give you a bit of hope for the future?
Yeah, there was a couple of good juniors there. It was good to see. It's good to see. I think I played like 12 young lads. There was a couple that looked good. Looked like obviously improved as well. I think I was there 5 years ago, so a couple of them improved since then. But it's tough. Like I say, if you ain't got that backing from the junior people, like running the junior game, then it's even tougher. But like I say, it's good to see, good to be there, and good to play.
What do you think needs to change for more youngsters to come in? More players like yourself visiting these places, or more money?
Yeah, it definitely obviously needs financial backing. I think whatever you do, you need to look after grassroots or whatever sport it is. Obviously you've got academies, like they said, obviously they go up to Dings Academy, so Dings backing them sort of them sort of places, so it's good to see. But yeah, definitely needs some financial backing and the governing body to get behind it.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's still some great snooker clubs, like Northern Snooker Centre. There's the one in Cambridge. I think Kyren plays not Cambridge, Northampton is it the one Kyren plays in, and Joe Perry's club as well. I think there's some good clubs still around.
Yeah.
But in general, I mean, well, I had one near me, Keynsham Snooker Centre.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. I mean, it was the best club ever. But they shut. Council bought the land and they shut down. And that's the sad thing about the way all the snooker clubs are going. There was probably 6 or 7 snooker clubs in Gloucester when I moved there, and now there's one. So.
Do you reckon we should do things like have, I don't know, free tickets to schools? You know, when there's early rounds of a tournament when there's going to be empty seats, to try and get.
Maybe. I think it's just more about when the kids see it on TV, make it it looks like it's cooler, and they can sort of associate more with it. And when the crowds are watching, I feel like it's still a bit tense watching snooker. I'd like to have some tournaments not as extreme as a shootout, but just where people can sort of chill out and they can make a bit of noise and chat to the next person. Maybe not shout, but just so they don't have to feel like you're sat in a box, because at the moment it's like you can't even stand up to the toilet if you want. So I'd like to see it a bit more laid back, and obviously, look how it's done with the darts. They're selling out like 9,000-10,000 venue stadiums. So snooker can do that in Hong Kong, but let's try and make it more accessible and more fun for people to watch over here. So maybe we just need to give them some drinks, and it'll be more fun to go to snooker, have a drink, more of a social thing like the darts instead of you're sat in there sometimes. It's I don't like watching personally. I would much rather play, but let's just figure out how to appeal more to kids.
So you'd struggle to being a fan?
No, I like watching it on TV, but I watched the Masters. It's great. The Masters, it's a box where you can go and look down at it, and they can talk, and they give you food and stuff. It's a lot less intense than maybe sat inside the arena. So I think sometimes the arena's great if you want to be involved in it. I watched the Ronnie Judd final last year inside. It's like amazing, but not every game's like that. And sometimes it's good to just be a bit chilled out. I think that would be a good way of growing the crowds. And, just trying to appeal more to kids. It's like very serious as well.
Yeah, it is.
You can't change it too much.
No.
It's got to stay with the heritage. That's why I think this is fine. Sticking to all the same rules here. The waistcoat, sticky bows makes sense here. They've always done it, and it's sort of like tradition. But maybe just play about with a few other tournaments, because it is literally all quiet, no talking at all. It's the shootout that smash and just shouting at the time. So can we just find like a bit of a balance where just normal people will go and just have a few drinks and chill out and have a good time? So I think that's a cool concept. But
would every player be comfortable playing?
I think they would, yeah, because you go to a club and you could put the snooker table here and we'd all play absolutely fine. It's just like a constant noise. I think it's like when someone's when it's all silent, if someone is like opening the packet of crisps, it's going to stand out. But if everyone's just sort of quietish, not screaming on the backswing, then people get away with it. I mean, why not have a few drinks and just chill out? So maybe set the lighting or something like differently. So
It attracts anyone. So if you're interested and you watch it on the TV, there's no reason why you can't. It's not accessible. There's clubs around still. Good clubs as well. So there's surely going to be a club in your area that might be within 5 miles that you can go and visit and have a game. As we say, it's about getting that physical interaction. It's about telling people, look, there's a coach plays from there, or there's a coaching session on every week, or whatever it may be, just to get people interested. Because otherwise, obviously, like in any sport, we're not going to get new breeds of players coming through unless that happens.